But now 85 comes around and it's like, okay, we have the gang task force.
Here, they don't wait for trouble, they go looking for it. Most of the cops are white. Most of those they police are black and Hispanic.
Well, if there's no gang violence, we have no gang task force. So we need to let the Corsies or the Miles keep selling that dope. See, when people talk about Free Right Ricky Ross, people forget, like I said earlier, the Tootie Reeses and the Russell Miles. Way before there was Free Right Ricky Ross, there was Russell Miles. Russell Miles is one of the ones who's like a pillar to me. He's like a father to me. And this was the first time I ever saw a man on 42nd Place and Broadway with a Mercedes, a Bentley, an IROC, an El Camino, a K5 Blazer on his property. And I know he didn't go to work. So ain't nobody really thinking about gangbanging. You thinking, man, I want what he's got. So I'm not gonna kill the next nigga because he's a, Five East Broadway. I'm gonna kill him because I want his shit. I want his spot. And when we say it was suppressed, no, I know for a fact law enforcement just went, look, let them niggas, because what's gonna keep the doors open? Me raiding you and taking all your money and destroying your drugs and guns. Let me tell you something, on Hill Street and King Boulevard, if you wanted to buy a gun back in the 80s, all the guns that were taken off the street, there was a dispensary that you can go to as long as you had no felonies. Because you didn't have to have a permit then. You didn't have to have nothing, you just walk. And there was a dispensary that every Thursday you can go there and you can buy a minimum of 5 guns.
So California had kind of like southern gun laws, like very
We didn't implement that until Reagan came into office.
Well, they had very loose gun laws.
Yes.
Gangbangers were going up to western
Surplus.
There
was no holding period. There was a holding period on a pistol. There was never a holding period on a shotgun.
So if you had no felony, there was no
nothing.
You could have a weapon.
Nothing. You just bought a gun. I bought my first gun at 17. My cosigner was 18, and I picked up the gun 3 days later.
Wow.
I picked up the gun. He signed for it, but I picked up. But there was a dispensary right down the hill that would come from the guns taken off the street.
The Los Angeles police, the role model for all American cops, are now in crisis. The policing methods they pioneered are under scrutiny. In the communities they patrol, they're accused of being an army of invasion.
There was not an effective anti-gang crackdown.
Because someone's going to lose a paycheck if we end something.
For sure.
Why would Tom Bradley, Uncle Tom Bradley, implement, him being the strong black pillar, him implementing going, look, it's not Daryl Gates' job to implement those laws, it's the mayor.
Yeah. Daryl Gates carries out the
right.
directions.
But Daryl Gates got the approval for the battle ram. And 37% of all his raids were all bullshit?
Oh, really? I can believe it.
Not 3.7, 37, where they were just fucking houses up. And look, I'm an ex-dirtbag. Hi, my name is Guillermo Ilan, ex-dirtbag drug dealer. But if I'm gonna fuck your house up, which in turns, the guy who next door, his house is fucked up now too. The whole neighborhood's fucked up. That never fixed anything. That's why it was taken away from Gates, because it was like, look, man, you killing babies, fucking this battle ram thing up. And
how long did that last? Just a couple
8 months. 8 months. 8 months.
So public relations.
Yeah. And it was never done on the west side of Los Angeles. The battle ram was never fucking done past Western. It stopped at Hoover. And it only went the peripheral of Florence to Vernon. King Boulevard.
So that was a poorer area.
It was an 18-mile radius in a circle. That was nothing but poor.
So you didn't have the people there that were going to be the type to raise a fuss.
Well,
whereas if it was in the like a neighborhood where you were at, where yeah, there was crime and bad people, but there was a lot of regular people who were like, hold on, you ain't coming in our neighborhood.
Well, because Wells Fargo has a bank on the west side of Los Angeles. California Federal is on the east side. California Federal is for low-income housing. You know, you got to remember, white flight had already kicked in, and whites is like, we out. So there was this imaginary real estate line that went, niggas can buy here. And if a nigga happens to buy on the west side of town, he either better be hired by the airport or Hughes or...
You're part of the system.
Yes, which you still weren't allowed to cross certain parts of the street at certain times of the night. You were not allowed...
This is into the 80s?
Oh, yes. 83, if you went into Woolworths, which was Crenshaw and Slauson. It was right. I mean, I'm sorry, Crenshaw and King Boulevard. There was a Woolworths right there. If you wanted because back in those days they had the sandwich tables, like in the boycotting days. We had those here too. And if you were black and you wanted a sandwich, you went outside. This is 83.
And this is Crenshaw and Slauson?
Crenshaw and King Boulevard. Yeah.
Wasn't that an all-black area or no?
So you know Crenshaw Shopping Center, that's called the Plaza now, whatever?
Yeah.
That used to be May Company on one side, Broadway on one side, then there was a strip and it was Woolworth, Kinney Shoe Store, House of Pancake, IHOP, Liquor Bank on the other side of the street. And if you went to that Woolworth, you were not allowed to sit at that counter in 83. Unless it was before 3 p.m. because whites still live there.
Really?
So if you wanted a sandwich or a shake,
What happened if you sat down?
you were told that seat was being reserved. We have a party coming. So I went to Audubon Junior High School just 2 blocks away. So if I want to walk one of my friends home that lives in Baldwin Hills, that's a well-off black kid that lives in Baldwin Hills, and we stop there, they would say, oh, those seats are reserved. You got to go on outside of the window and get your shake. If you were walking around black. Now imagine, look at my skin complexion. So if I was walking around by myself or if I had a hat on, it was usually like, but if I was walking with another black person, y'all gotta go. You know, the drug game affected gang violence. To answer your question, sorry that I dragged on.
That's great.
The drug game was affected drug violence where I always give this premise. You could be the most heinous gangbanger in the world. Say you're a Crip, but you find out, well, man, if I do a song with Game, he gonna help my career. So I'm gonna let it to the side that he's blood. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a song with Game. Well, at that point, you should just stop saying Crip. At that point, you should just stop saying blood because you just did a truce. I was too ignorant to ever see it that way. Like, nah, nigga, if you ain't from Rollin 60s, only other gangbanger I ever did a song with was Booyah Tribe, because I grew up with them as kids. So if I'm selling dope, and this nigga over here from A-Tray, or this nigga over here, he's a blood nigga, and he can give me a better price, I'm fucking with him. What hurts the most, if I sit there and be like, yo, you know this nigga hates us, don't matter, nigga, I'm fucking with him. It could be, you know, one of the worst things I hate seeing is blacks and Latinos hating on each other. Because, as they say, we're in the worst crap bucket, but you forget to ask yourself, who the fuck threw you in it? Because you jumped in it yourself. But we have the most hatred towards each other. And we're both sitting on the same fucking plot of land. But when it came to gang violence, it wasn't about your hood. It was about what you could take over. If I could take what that motherfucker's got, you know. And I watched some of the baddest motherfuckers become drug addicts. And then he he went back to being a killer because now he needs to get that dope. But he became...
Eerie combination.
Oh, but imagine he's a coward now to one of the homies. But he'll go kill somebody to get some dope off somebody else. So you looking at somebody you see as your big homie and you're like, yo, this nigga's smoked out, you know? So gang violence took a whole different turn. And for me around 80, I started going back and forth to juvie and getting arrested around 85, 86. And, you know, which we could say for another day or however you want to do it. For me, the gangbanging shit, you couldn't get me to not be on 60th and Crenshaw. You couldn't. I was at that Taco Bell religiously every weekend to do drug deals.